Well, welcome to another beautiful yet possibly soon to be rainy day here in St. Paul, and back by popular demand. That's right, we are in this location, Taco House, where stands this guy right here, Taco House Charlie Brown. Good to see you again, my friend. This is who I come to check out for any inspiration and ideas and philosophical advice. This man right here, he has it all. Thank you for hanging out and waiting for me to come back here, Taco House Charlie Brown. What's on your mind today? Oh, you want to give a shout out to the TR show and SF Rose for being amazing members of the mix and having awesome channels who work tirelessly to help other people grow their families? That is awesome. Okay. That's a good idea. I will go ahead and put the links to their channels in the description below. But the reason that I'm here is to find out what should I do today here in St. Paul. Oh, that's brilliant. That is a brilliant idea. The top 8 landmarks of St. Paul. Or top 8 St. Paul landmarks. We'll figure that out later, but brilliant idea. Would you like to start off the show again? All right, let me do this. Welcome to another edition of Tommy Travels. It's Tommy Travels. We're gonna see the top 8 landmarks of St. Paul. And what's that? What's that? Taco House Charlie Brown? This should be fun, you guys, so let's go see what there is to see. Brilliant. Let's go see what there is to see. And so here we are in downtown St. Paul. This is the library that we are looking at, the George Latimer Central Library. There's a CenturyLink building. Are any of these buildings part of the list? No, they are not. They probably could be on a future adventure like this, should there be another one. But this plot of grass right here is number 8 on the list. Why would a plot of grass in an area like this make the list of top 8 St. Paul landmarks? Well, because this little plot of grass happens to be Rice Park. Oh, sure, it doesn't look like a whole lot during the spring and summer, except for a nice place to walk your dog. Look at a tree stump, freshly cut tree right there. My goodness. Hey, that freshly cut tree right there, in my previous adventure, bringing this to full circle, this is the spot of the St. Paul Winter Carnival. And last time I was here, there was a whole bunch of people doing ice sculptures. They were all around here. And this was a tall evergreen tree, and I said, my goodness, I'll bet you that would look good all lit up at night. But now, not so much. And one other thing that I didn't notice, this huge evergreen tree is all strung up with lights with a huge star on top. We are not going to stay around to see that all lit up, but I'll bet it's a beautiful sight. And also here in this fine little park, Peppermint Patty kicking a football. You should show Charlie Brown how it's done. The trick is to leave Lucy out of the ball game and just drop kick it your own self so you can make contact with the football. Well done, Peppermint Patty. She's playing some sports as her best friend Marcy is hanging out over here on the bench reading a book. She doesn't really too much care about the sports side of things. She's more of a bookworm. Good to see you as well, Marcy. There's a look at the library in Rice Park where we were just standing, and number 7 on this list is right nearby. Landmark Center, ladies and gentlemen. What an extraordinary historic building that is. It took 10 years to construct. From 1892 to 1902, it finally opened as the courthouse and post office for the upper Midwest. And in front of that building stands what would be a spectacular looking fountain if it were up and running. Unfortunately, right now it is not. But look at that beautiful lady. What a picturesque scene. I keep using that word in videos, even though I'm terrible at saying it. So it used to be the courthouse and the post office for the upper Midwest, but now it's a culture center with art exhibits and all sorts of types of art shows. And also, if you want to get married, this is a good place to do it as well. They perform all sorts of cool services and venues, and it's a wonderful, wonderful part of St. Paul. And of course, no list of St. Paul landmarks would be complete without including the Ordway Center for the Performing Arts. Look at this wonderful building right here. It's more of a contemporary style than what we were looking at with the Landmark Center. Back in 1980, Sally Ordway Irvine challenged the members of her community to help her raise money to create a Twin Cities premier performing arts center, where she would be able to hold anything from the opera all the way to a Russian circus if they wanted to, which I believe they did. And right now, the big banner on the top there is advertising Beauty and the Beast, which was here December 1st through the 27th. It is currently closed because of all of the unpleasantness, as Carpetbagger likes to say. And that's what I like too, just unpleasantness that's going on right now. But what a beautiful building this is. And they've got the opera here, they've got all sorts of shows and attractions that come here. And if you're in Minnesota, you always want to check out the Ordway. It's a big destination. And coming in at number 5 on our list right here, it's this building, the Science Museum of Minnesota. 3 floors of all sorts of educational, entertaining, and interactive exhibits. Yes, Tommy Travels has been at this adventure as well. A beautiful building. If you want to see dinosaur skeletons and remains, or if you would like to see your face in a 3-story tall astronaut helmet, this is the place for you. They have all sorts of fun attractions that are interactive, not only for kids, but also adults as well. And it's just a place you have to see to believe. And look at the beautiful setting right along the Mississippi River. Absolutely wonderful place to check out if you haven't already in the St. Paul area. And here's the side view of the Science Museum of Minnesota. I just wanted to show this beautiful view right here of the mighty Mississippi. You can see some river boats lined up there in the center of the screen. A lot of times during the spring and summer months, people like to go for cruises. There's all sorts of boats lined up there. A very beautiful cruise on the Mississippi you can go on. The Mississippi could be another honorable mention landmark. That's part of the reason all these buildings that we've just been looking at are built so close to the Mississippi. We're not going to put it on the list, but we're going to give it an honorable mention, but it could rank high on the list in another adventure. We have some other places to check out, so let's go see them. And coming in at number 4 on our list, of course, the Xcel Energy Center. It is the home of the Minnesota Wild and countless events and activities. The Black Crows, Death Punch, Reba McEntire can all be mentioned in the same breath when you're talking about the Xcel Energy Center. And even the Lumineers. There are all sorts of activities going on here. A very big meeting place in St. Paul. It is one of the newer attractions here in the Twin Cities to see a concert, so it is a very good sound environment. So if you ever do see a concert or the Minnesota Wild, it is a premier place to see events in the Twin Cities. And just in case you didn't know, Charles Schulz, the creator of the Peanuts gang, Charlie Brown and Peppermint Patty and Snoopy and Woodstock. Pieces like this can be found all over the St. Paul area and Minnesota. And this is an amazing piece indeed. Not only because it's so colorful and reflects the city that is right across the street from it, but it's also a weather gauge. As you can see, it says red hot, Joe Cool, or green. And Snoopy and Woodstock are both wearing little collars that say green energy right now. Because it is not red hot or Joe Cool outside right now. It is green energy right now. So it's not just a beautiful piece to look at, but also a kind of a thermometer of sorts. Well done, whoever came up with this idea. Well done. I just love how well thought out this piece is, with Snoopy and Woodstock reflecting the downtown area, which is right across the street here. All the big buildings of downtown St. Paul. And then it shows even what we were just looking at moments ago, the Mississippi River with the riverboats going to and fro. Absolutely awesome. And even some snow and icicles hanging down. Just absolutely beautiful. Do you hear that? There was just some bells chiming. That's perfect timing. Coming in at number 3 on the top 8 landmarks of St. Paul is the Cathedral of St. Paul. This was the vision of John Ireland, an archbishop, and a very popular name here in St. Paul. He has a street named after him, and it was the architect of Emmanuel Masqueret who constructed this fine building, along with the whole group of fairly anonymous artists and builders and construction workers. And you can still get married right here in this building if you so desire. And I just love this photo with the beautiful skies right above it. Absolutely stunning. That's kind of a cool shot right there of downtown St. Paul as we take another closer look at this gorgeous building. This is kind of a funny feeling as I stand here and look up and see the clouds moving. It kind of feels like I'm moving. And I just love the architecture of this building. This is back in the day where it wasn't about, you know, like 4 walls and a ceiling, maybe a little bit of style. This is from a time when everything was grand. Everything was an art project back in these days, and this building shows just that. And here's a closer look at the cross featured on top of the dome, which has been restored in the fairly recent past. But I also want to show you this side building has a dome as well, and there's an angel perched right on top. And with an even closer look, you can see the angel is praying, and I love the halo perched right over the head like that. Brilliant work of art that is, along with everything else about this building. Well, I'd say for a downtown area, and there is downtown St. Paul right there in the center of the screen, there sure is a lot of green space. Wonderful green grass. And this particular area right here and across the street over there is where thousands of Minnesotans would gather every year for a lot of years for something called the Taste of Minnesota. On the 4th of July, there would be all sorts of food carts and vendors, and we'd watch the fireworks right in front of the state capitol building, which comes in at number 2 on our list. What a beautiful building that is as well. It has been newly remodeled, as a matter of fact, inside and out, and looks absolutely wonderful. Legislators first started meeting in this site in 1849, as I give you kind of a 360 view of where I'm at right now. Then 5 years later, the first Capitol building was erected. And then, years later, it burnt down to the ground. So a second state capitol was built, and that too was not suitable for legislating in a growing state. It also had ventilation problems. And so in 1893, this building was erected right here and has stood proudly ever since as an awesome Minnesota attraction, not just a St. Paul attraction. You can hardly think of Minnesota without the state capitol, and there it is right there. As we take a look around and see what turned out to be an amazing day for weather here in St. Paul. Thought it might rain earlier, but it did not. But one thing I wanted to point out is you don't realize the immenseness of this vast building until you're right up underneath it. My goodness, look at all those stairs that some very important people have walked up and down during the years, including this man right here. That is Knut Nelson. He is a 3-time congressman, a 2-time governor, and 5 times he represented the state of Minnesota as a senator. Just the wonderment and amazing architecture in this building. Oh look, I'm filming and I'm being filmed at the same time. Very nice. And as long as we're out here, I thought we'd take a look at this fine sculpture that adorns the state capitol building. This is a piece created by sculptors Daniel Chester French and Edward Clark Potter. And this was done in 1906. And it is a beautiful addition to the state capitol. And here we are on the other side of the mighty Mississippi to take a look at our number 1 on the list of the top 8 St. Paul landmarks, and that is it right there, the First National Bank building. Not just because it's got a huge number 1 on top of it, because it is indeed the number 1 landmark of St. Paul. So the First National Bank building, it opened in 1931. It towers 417 feet in the air and it is 32 stories high. At one time, it was the largest building in Minnesota. And the first sign on top, the large red signage there, is 4 stories high, all on its own. As you can see here, there is a building right next to it called the Merchants Bank building. And you can see there's a little connection area there. That is from the 17th floor, the very top of that building. You can connect right over to the First National Bank building. That is called a skyway, ladies and gentlemen. There are many of them here in the Twin Cities because it's a lot easier to just walk across the skyway than to go outside and cross the street in the middle of winter. And this is, first of all, the highest skyway known, and also the birth of the modern skyway system right here in St. Paul. And because this first sign that adorns the top of this building can be seen for up to 75 miles away, for that reason alone, this is the number 1 St. Paul landmark, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear a big round of applause. First National Bank building, everybody! Well done, First National Bank building. Well done. And this brings us to another successful end to an adventure here on Tommy Travels, where we have been all around this great city and saw the top 8 St. Paul landmarks. By the way, I have a friend, Knut, who just absolutely loves this view of St. Paul. That's why I keep coming back again and again. He'll probably rewind this section several times just to take a look at this view. So here you go, Knut, a beautiful picture here of downtown St. Paul. And if you guys liked what you saw here today, go ahead and hit like on my YouTube channel. While you're at it, go ahead and hit subscribe and the little bell notification next to it so you can be the first to know when a new adventure comes out. I also have memberships on my channel now, so if you'd like to hit the join button and receive some extra perks and sneak previews and fun things like that, feel free to do so if you so desire. This has been an absolute blast, you guys. Thank you all so much for the support that you've given me so far. And until next time, I hope to catch you on the flip side.